What is going on, everybody? What's going on? It's your favorite, well, I'd like to think that it's your favorite podcaster on Facebook and YouTube. No, probably not, because we haven't grown to that level yet. But it's James Hollingsworth. I'm just coming to you tonight because I got something on my mind. But welcome to the Working People's Podcast, where everybody desires to build generational wealth and a financial legacy for their family. And tonight we're talking about, are we really going to slide over into this recession? And I know some people have said, we're already there, James, we're already there. And I was pretty adamant, a month or 2, 3 or 4 ago, saying no, not quite. I mean, even though all the indicators are there, but I tell you what, over the last month, we have slid over into I'm talking about in the pits, man. We've slid down there, and it's been pretty rough. So I was talking to my cousin. I've been trying to get this dude on the podcast for, oh my goodness, man, a couple months. And I don't know. I think he might be either shy, or I think he might be, I don't know, maybe a little camera shy, or he just don't want to put his face out there. But he and I have been having some pretty deep conversations about the stock market, about where we see the economy going, what do we see the housing market, just different things like that with the economy and stuff like that. And it's something I want to look up and do real quick. Let's see. Yeah. So I want to give a. Yeah, let me find it. Let me find it real quick, y'all. Give me 1 second. Yes, okay. So before we get into this, let me rewind just real quick. Real quick rewind. I want to give a shout out because love is in the air. Don't you feel it? Woo! It's magical. Love is in the air. It's in the air tonight. Love is in the air. So, but it must be in the air, and love is a great thing. It's beautiful. Shout out to Terrence Frank and Tashara Givens. Their wedding tomorrow, and I'm trying to be in the house to see it. But shout out to the lovely couple who's getting married tomorrow on Saturday. Terrence Frank, Tashara Givens. I know God's got a great future planned for you all and your family. So shout out to the wonderful couple who's getting married tomorrow. So back to the issue at hand. By the way, if you are coming through on YouTube, coming through while we're going live streaming, do me a favor and press that subscribe button. Come on, let's get the algorithm going, man. And also drop some comments below. Let me know that you came through, and press that notification bell there right here on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching here on Facebook, on my personal page, or on the Working People's Podcast page, come through, drop some comments, let me know what you're thinking about where we are in the economy right now. I mean, I don't know how I can avoid saying that recession is, to me, in my opinion, is kind of inevitable at this point. But yeah, come through, drop some comments below. We're going to have a little conversation. If you're in the house, give me your thoughts and some feedback. Press that heart button right here on Facebook. Press that thumbs up, man, and share this video, this content with your neighbors, with your cousin and your auntie nems. So let me go back over here. And what I want to show you is a few things. So first, I want to show you something that my cousin and I were talking about. Shout out to you, Huey. I'm going to say your name. I'm putting you out there. So all of our family that know you, they might put some pressure on you to say, come on, Huey, let's get on the podcast with your cousin. But he said to me, and I was like, no way. This is right when the market had a bounce and we had got back like half of our year-to-date losses on the S&P and the Dow. And he was like, man, cuz, I mean, we're about to have a consolidation. You know, the market's about to consolidate those gains, and we're looking at a 5 to 10% drop. And I'll be doggone, man. I didn't believe it. But man, he nailed it. He was absolutely correct. And that's exactly what has happened over the last 30 days. And I want to show it to you so that you won't just take my word for it. But first of all, let me give you just a little definition. When he talked about consolidating the gains, consolidation basically means it's a term that's used either for a stock, and in this case, we're using it for the market, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500 in particular. It's a term that's used to refer to a stock, like I say, in this case, we're referring to the Dow and the S&P, that is neither going up or down, or if it is, right? Or if it is, it's only going up slightly, right? To return to where it was before and vice versa. And that's exactly what happened over the last 30 days. And I don't know if you all are feeling it and still feeling it. Maybe, you know, we've got to adjust it a little bit so it's not stinging as bad at the gas station when you're pumping, you know. But man, I'm feeling it at the grocery stores. I'm feeling it in just day-to-day cost of living. Feeling it at the if you go out to eat to a restaurant. Man, I went to Popeye's Chicken and got me my 5 wings. I like to get the 5 wings with a side and a drink. That 5-wing combo, that joint and like doubled in price, man. You know, and then somebody told me that somebody's soda prices at some fast food joint was doubling. I don't know. It's tight, man. It's straight tight. But that's exactly what just happened. My cousin nailed it. Huey nailed it. And we had a slight bump. We had a bump. We got back like half of the losses year to date over about 30 to 45 days. And then boom, consolidation. The gains. It happened and we went right back to where. And I'm going to show it to you. So if you look at the index here on the S&P 500, you can see over the last month, we gave up 10.5% right there. 10.5% gave those gains right back. Right doggone back. And year to date, the S&P, it hurts me, it pains me to say it. It's like I feel the brutal sting. It's like choking the economic life out of those of us, the middle class Americans, those of us that are out here just working and making a living and providing for our families. The sting is real, man. And so year to date, down 22.5%. So we had bounced, got back half of those losses where we were at about 22 to 23%, and bang, bada bang, bada boom. There we go, right back in 30 days, back down to 22.5%. And so the Fed on Wednesday, the Federal Reserve Board, old Chairman Powell, Jerome, and the Fed decided to raise interest rates again on Wednesday. Did you all see it? I mean, I was working and I didn't want to look, but I got my little nosy stuff over there and I just wanted to see it myself. Another 75 basis points, so another 0.75%. Ouch. And inflation is still just teetering and not curbing off. And old Jerome Powell said, and in fact, let me show that one to you so that you won't just take my word for you. Old Jerome came out and said that he wants the housing market to cool off so that hey, you can't make this stuff up, right? He wants the housing market to cool off so that more people can afford to buy a house. How is that possible when you all can't even control inflation and you just raised the interest rate by another 75 basis points? I think this is the third 75 basis point increase this year. But you want to cool off the housing market. How is that possible if you are forced or have your hands are tied and you have to raise interest rates, right, to curb inflation? So it seems to me that it's not even possible to cool the housing market off or bring, it's like, what? Are you trying to force a correction in the housing market? Right? Dismal, y'all. Dismal. It's like, who do you listen to and trust when they're coming forth and saying this stuff? These are supposed to be the brightest minds in the United States and some of the brightest minds in the world. But it seems like when they say things at times, it's like, that makes no sense. Jerome Powell just warned that the U.S. housing market needs a difficult correction so that folks can afford homes again. But here's why it'll look nothing like 2008. That's why the person in the article said. But old Jerome Powell thinks that there needs to be a correction in the housing market. The U.S. Federal Reserve raised its benchmark interest rate by 75 basis points on Wednesday, marking the third such hike in a row. There you have it. So if you're looking at the S&P 500, this index, we're down in the recession number ranges again. Just as quick and as fast as we got the gains, some of the gains back over about 30 to 45 days, those gains were consolidated and we dropped right back down. And if you look year to date, down 22.5%. Look right here at this low spot right there. We were at 36, the lowest for the year, 3666.77. And look where we closed at on Friday at the close of business. The market at 4 o'clock p.m. That's Eastern time here. We were at 36.93. So just 30 points off of the low for the year. So look where that's at and look where this at. Right back down to where we were just about. And on the side of the Dow, the same thing. The last 30 days, we dropped 10.09%. Year to date, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is down just under. We were just down a little bit over 19%, I believe. And we're down now 18.57%. So a little over 18.5%. And the same thing, except with the Dow, the low for the year, 29,888.78. We closed on Friday just below where we were at the lowest point of the year at 29,590.41. So both indexes experienced in the last 30 days returns back to their lows of the year, basically. Ouch. Can you say OUCH, ouch? What does that mean, in my opinion, for the average consumer, or those of us that are out here just trying to make it, trying to work, trying to provide for our families, trying to feed the kiddos, or just trying to keep some food and bread and potatoes and meat and some chicken wings and bologna and salami and some hog head cheese on your table, on your plate? What does that, I believe that mean for the average person, those of us that are consumers? Well, I think it means what I said about 2 months ago. Looky here. Whatever you do, by any means necessary, get out of, I'm going to call it bad debt. And the reason why I'm going to call it bad debt is because with the hike in the rise in the cost of living, now that automatically means expenses, your day-to-day household expenses have increased. So now credit card debt, depending on how much you have, in my opinion, could be looked at as being bad debt. So pay off your credit card debt by any means necessary. Cut back on those things. I mean, I know you like cable. I know you like eating out and getting your hair done and your lashes and all of that, but I'm telling you, I think you need to find a way to make some alterations or some slight modifications in your monthly budget to level things out, because the key is to constantly be living beneath your means, right? But because of the cost of living increasing, that margin that you may have had before 2, 3 years, 4 or 5 years ago, that margin has now narrowed because of the higher cost of living prices and things like that we're experiencing now. So look, now that same debt that you might have been able to comfortably handle before, it's made things a little tighter because the cost of living and things are higher. There's been an increase. So get out of credit card debt. Pay that stuff down at the bare minimum, off if possible, as soon as you can. Preferably before the end of the year. We're about to go into the final quarter of the year in terms of business, and I want to show you some numbers. There's been some companies that have been hit pretty hard this year. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger for you, so hopefully you can see it. So let's make that a little bit bigger. Yeah. So there's quite a few companies that's been holding on to major amounts of cash. I saw some reports that are even saying that the very wise investor Warren Buffett this year is holding on to over $147 billion that he's sitting on in cash. Is Warren Buffett sitting on that amount of cash because he sees some opportunities that are potentially coming in the future? Especially if old Mr. Jerome Powell says that they're looking into wanting that the housing market cools off, and we see that some stock prices are selling at discounted rates. Is that possible? I know Nvidia is down, I think, over 40%, like 41, 43%, something like that. I'll find it on the list here. But look at Microsoft. Microsoft is sitting on over $104 billion in cash, sitting on that in reserves, so that they can have a cushion to make sure that they can maintain their operating cost. But they are down 19.85% for the year. This is a trailing 12-month total return. So over the last 12 months, trailing 12-month returns down over 19.85%, 19, almost 20% for the last 12 months. Let's look at Toyota. What is Toyota sitting on? Toyota's sitting on almost $65.5 billion of cash. But over the last 12 months, trailing 12 months, they are down 23.9%, almost 24%. Let's look at Amazon. Let's see where Amazon is at. Amazon is sitting on over $60 billion, almost $61 billion in cash reserves, but they are down a little over 33.5% over the last 12 months. Ouch. Apple. Look at Apple. So Apple is sitting on over $48 billion in cash, so that they can make sure that they can maintain the operating costs and everything like that. Now, mind you, a lot of these companies are cutting costs as well, and for some people that can include some layoffs or downsizing. But Apple is up for the year nearly 3%. So remember, I said if you're going to, you should always be investing. Go and find the top companies, top 1, 2, 3, even up to 5, top 5 companies in their asset class, in their capital market capitalization group, and in their sector, and come up with a long-term dollar cost average strategy that you can get into for the next minimum 10 years, minimum 10, 15, 20 years. Dollar cost averages. Invest. If you believe that this company is still going to be around, look, if you're buying Apple products, Apple buds, earbuds, buds, pods, whatever they call them, iPhones, the cost of them going up, you don't have a problem buying the products. Maybe you should be considering, if you're buying the products, you should be investing in those same companies of the products that you're buying. Come on now. Come on. I'm just trying to hope you. But Apple is up for the year, last trailing 12 months, nearly 3%. Look at this. Energy. The energy sector has been on fire. So you need to be checking into energy stocks. They have been on fire. And if you want to get into some conservative things right now, U.S. Treasury notes and Treasury bonds, I believe they're all still in the green right now. I have to go and look and confirm that, but they were in the green. But what are we looking at? We were looking at, this energy company, Equinor. Look at that. They're sitting on over $45 billion in cash, and they are up for the last trailing 12 months, nearly 40%. Look at this. Shell, another energy company, sitting on almost $40 billion in cash, and for the last trailing 12 months, they are up 17.74, nearly 18%. Let's see what else. Johnson & Johnson, look, Johnson & Johnson is up for the last trailing 12 months, over 4%, and they're sitting on over $32.5 billion in cash. Did I find Nvidia? I know I was looking for. Well, tech companies are being hit pretty hard. Mortgage companies, companies that are in the financial sector, especially refis and stuff like that, those companies are laying off already. Financial companies have been hit pretty hard. Look at this. Nomura, I guess I'm pronouncing that correctly. Nomura Holdings, financial company, down over 30%. I just thought I saw another one. Yeah, a couple other financial companies. One's down over 20%. Let's see. Anything else interesting on this list? Airlines have been hit pretty hard. So United Airlines, they are sitting on over $20 billion in cash, but they are down for the last trailing 12 months, over 30%. General Electric sitting on close to $20 billion in cash, but they're down nearly 40%, 37.63%, the last trailing 12 months. Look at this. Couple energy companies. Told you, look at this. Petroleo, can't even pronounce that. And Petroleo, they're different, I guess, different shares, companies. But anyway, they're up 80% and 104%. ExxonMobil, look at that, sitting on over $18 billion in cash, and they're up over 55.5% year for the last trailing 12 months. Yeah. There it is. Nvidia, I told you they were down, over 43%. But they're sitting on over $17 billion in cash. So, look, to make a long story short, I wanted to show you these numbers so you can see them for yourself. I'm telling you, whatever you need to do, get your bad debt paid down. That includes personal loans. Get this stuff paid down. Build up your cash reserves so that you can leverage yourself and set yourself up in a position where when opportunities come, you could be just like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is sitting on $147 billion in cash. In my opinion, he's probably doing that because he's waiting for some opportunities to come along, as well as having that cushion in these uncertain times when we're seeing, many economic experts believe that we're definitely going to see some things getting even tighter. Personally, I think, and I've been saying it for a few months now, hold on to your horses. Things are about to get really tight. And we're going to be seeing some layoffs, some downsizing. Companies are holding on to cash, as you can see it, and they're cutting costs. And one of their biggest costs is usually and typically their workforce. So the first thing to get cut oftentimes in order to be able to continue to maintain making their earnings and make all of their shareholders happy, which you need to become a shareholder at somebody's company and start investing. They are trying to make you happy if you're a shareholder. And one of the best things they can do in order to make sure that they are able to continue to meet their profit margins is to cut costs, and that means to cut labor costs. So layoffs and downsizing. So I hope that you consider what I'm saying. Pay off personal loans, get them things and your credit cards down to zero. I'm not saying close them. Don't close them. You got to keep your credit lines open. Don't hurt your credit score by closing accounts. But pay them jokers down and pay them off. And then get your cash reserves up, so that if you do need to make some investment moves or things like that, you can leverage yourself with your cash reserves. So let's just say if you can get your hands and stack up about 30,000, say you got 30,000 in cash sitting there, right? So now it takes a lot of risk out of if you need to move out. Don't hit, start diving. If you position yourself correctly and you get your cash reserves up, you won't have to dig into your investments and your savings and things like that in a down market, so that you could tap into, right, some of your dollars that you have at your disposal to borrow capital. And as you borrow that capital, you don't borrow by going above what necessarily you can have, where you can leverage yourself. Hope that's making sense. So if you got $30,000 in cash, try not to go over that amount if you're trying to go out and make some deals and things, financial things happen by borrowing capital. Don't borrow more than what you can leverage. That's what I'm saying. That's my personal advice, right? So in other words, probably what you need to consider is, if you're going to look at making some large purchases, especially if you're looking to make them with borrowed capital or borrowed funds, maybe you should consider not doing it if you don't have that amount leveraged already with cash that you just need to hold on to and keep your money invested. Hope that makes sense to you. So once again, I will say it again. Get out of bad debt. And bad debt right now, to me, is anything that's on a revolving account. Get this stuff, and if you do use your credit cards, just use it to earn the points and pay it off the next month, or pay 2 times, 3 times more than what the minimum payment is. Get this stuff paid off, paid down to zero, and then revolving accounts and personal loans and stuff like that. Start dumping extra cash on your home. Build up some equity in your home, because you can potentially access that equity through like lines of credit and stuff like that. So I hope that makes sense. And start looking around for discounts in the market. You can see some of them right there. And you can see some other places where if you were investing 12 months ago, like in some energy stocks, and Apple's always a good way to go. The big companies, the big ones, Amazon, Apple. I don't want to start naming them, because I'm not trying to tell you what to invest in or what not to invest in. But I am telling you, you should be investing your money. Hello? You should be investing your money. Let's see. We need to think of a recession-proof occupation. Abso-freaking-lutely. You need to start thinking about recession-proof occupation. And you also need to start thinking about other ways that you can supplement. Do I want to say supplement? I don't know if supplement's the word I want to use. But that you can add. We always talk about multiple streams of income, right? While you're working and you got your main gig, be looking at ways that you can add income to your household through other streams of income that you can create. Get creative, right? So that if you, whatever that you're making, think about it. If you can add through some other type of side hustle or something that you have other skills to do, right? If you can add another $20,000 to your household, do you think you could use that right now? Wouldn't that help out a lot? All right, yeah, I'm sure it would help out a lot. So I think we need to start getting creative and start thinking about other ways that you can create other streams of income to go along with your main employment, your job, your career. And if you are able to really just begin to dive into what you're spending your money on, right? If you're not living on a budget, and if you haven't if you haven't really gotten yourself where you are used to doing that, you might want to start. Now's a good time to start, because I'm telling you, we're going into the last quarter, and if companies miss their earnings, like some of these numbers that I've shown you, if companies miss their earnings in this last quarter of the year, what do you think potentially could happen come January and February? I keep trying to tell you. I'm just trying to help you. I'm just trying to let you know that we need to tighten up, because things are about to get tight and winter is coming. And I'm not talking about the weather. If you live in Florida or if you live in Texas, winter is still coming to you too. I'm talking about cold, frigid economic conditions that's going to sting and potentially cause some financial frostbite. So get out of debt. Manage your debt very well in this season. Now, credit can be your best friend, but if you're using it wrong and you get yourself where you're not leveraged, things can get real tight between now and then. And personally, I think we got like 2 years of some shaky economic conditions that we're going to continue to experience. But for the people who've positioned themselves financially, right, this will be a time of opportunity. The last couple years, think about it. A lot of people that have been in careers and in jobs and on certain jobs and holding certain employers hostage because they needed people in the workforce, and they jumping from job to job and demanding the highest wages, and the employers have just been paying it because they need people in order to keep their business running. Look, some of those people, if you haven't really been working on your skills and been building yourself up to be the best person and really been about growing and learning and things like that, and you may feel like over the last couple of years, if that's you, that you've been lagging behind. But I'm telling you, if you've really been working on yourself, educating yourself, reading books, and really putting the work in and putting the time in, I believe this is a time when opportunity is going to present itself to you, and you'll be able to move into those opportunities if you've been a good steward and a good manager of your finances, right? But the people that's just been out here lilly-lolling and lip and whatever and holding their employees hostage, guess who's going to be the first one to get that pink slip when they have to start downsizing? Those people that really haven't added any economic serious value to the company other than just being an extra pair of hands there to help them to keep their business going. So there is about to be this clear distinction of the people that's been really doing the right things financially. Those people are going to come to the forefront financially. We're going to see them like break out, right? And a lot of those people will probably experience prosperity in a recession or prosperity in an economic downturn because they've been being good managers of their financial situations and conditions. So I'm encouraging you. I know when I say stuff like this, people want to maybe throw me over there with Creflo and say, are you believing with the teachings of Creflo? All I'm saying is this. Yeah, the church and folk, we went tithing. But look, if you are a faithful tither, that's great. Stewardship. Keep doing it. You believe in it. It's working for you. Keep doing it. That's stewardship. But you got 90% left, and that's management. So how have you been managing the 90% that you got left over? Or are you just trying to live on the favor and the blessings of the crumbs? Right? It's time for us to stop the foolishness. And the foolishness to me is keep telling people God's going to bless you if you tithe. No, that's half of the story. Yes, he will. I absolutely believe that. But God wants to make sure that we are good managers of everything that he's given us. And the Bible says, you do read your Bible, don't you? Is that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Everything belongs to him. So, yes, you are faithful, disciplined, and committed, and you give that 10%, and you giving it faithfully. But why are you still struggling? Why are you still begging for crumbs? Why are you still asking for handouts? Why are you still down there? You got to get in the line. I'm just saying, could it be that as committed and faithful as you are with giving that 10% and returning your tithe to the Lord, that you're forgetting the other principle about paying yourself a tithe and making sure that you're setting aside another 10% for you and your family, and that you're being a good manager over the 90% that you got left over? You can't manage 90%. Come on. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Let's tell the whole story. Let's tell the whole story. Because if you are not managing the rest of the 90 that you have left over, in my opinion, you're basically canceling out the good that you're doing. I know I'm stepping over into some stuff now. I know I'm doing it. Yes, I know I'm doing it. But it's a shame that we got to start telling people the whole story. And we got to start teaching and helping people to become better stewards and managers of their finances. And we got to start helping people and teaching them and start having some type of programs and workshops and things to help people to know. I told y'all the last video, there's people still using, they don't have checking accounts. They don't have any type of banking products. They're getting their money on a cash card, or they're going down to the party store cashing their employment checks. Right? Or there's people whose credit is so bad the bank won't even let them open up a bank account. Right? So we got to do better. It's all I'm saying. And we got to start providing people with the resources that they need to learn the basic, simple things about financial management. Because it is literally a foundational principle and a basic, baseline, bottom foundational thing that if you can't handle that, and the Bible talks about he that is faithful over a little, he will make you ruler over much. So if you can't manage well $2,000 a month, God ain't trying to let you, he don't want you to kill yourself by just dumping $20,000 a month on you. You kill yourself. So management is very important. Is just as important as stewardship. And that's the part that we need to make sure that we're telling people as well. That management of your 90% left over is just as important as the 10% that you are faithfully committed and giving and returning to the Lord. So I got to go. I've taken up enough of your time. Recession. To be or not to be. We're on the verge of tight times. Get your house in financial order. I got to go. But until the next time, I'm out. Make sure that you press that subscribe button on YouTube. And over here on Facebook, can you give me some hearts, some thumbs up, share this video. But I got to go. I'm out.